Hi, everybody. I'm your host, Jaime Soretta. On this podcast, we talk about everything local in Arizona. And if you are looking for a sweet escape, you've got to hang with the folks from Barter and Shake. They offer immersive experiences and some pretty incredible cocktails and mocktails as well. I want to introduce Matt Snapp. He is the Executive Vice President of Operations at Barter and Shake. Matt, great to see you.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. I'm glad to see you today because I always recommend your places with people who have family or friends in town.
Heck yeah.
Because I think it's so unique. And then also what you do with an hour and a half experience.
Correct.
You take us out of town. You take us out of our own reality.
Mm-hmm.
And this is... What kind of venue is this? I mean, you hate to call it a bar because it's so much more.
Yeah, I think it's. I think to your point, it's an escape.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's and it's an entertaining place that we primarily focus on kind of like service, hospitality, and immersive experience. But we also do have a lot of cocktails, and we want to give you as many as you want to have within reason, of course. And so, when you go to the building there at 36th and Indian School, you do have 3 different choices.
Oh, and we have pictures.
And I assumed that you do. I assumed that you do.
You queued me up perfectly.
Perfect.
So let's take a look at our first choice that we
First
would have.
choice.
This
Yeah.
is what?
This is the Grey Hen. And so the Grey Hen is kind of the centerpiece between 2 of the other concepts. And that's basically because you can go there without a reservation. You can stop in for a quick cocktail, or you can cruise through and have a full experience. And it usually follows thematically. It follows the train. And so right now the train is based on 1925 New York City, kind of
let's
a night
stay
in
in the
Harlem.
Grey Hen for a minute.
I gotcha,
you are.
gotcha.
You're going to work back?
And then so right now the Grey Hen is built to look like an alley in Chinatown.
Okay.
And so, we've built it up to resemble kind of like a mystery import-export shop called M.E. Lee's, which is kind of a Chinese import-export shop. And it looks like it's behind the alley of a Peking duck restaurant.
So this might be the pick up or drop off for the train.
Exactly.
Location.
Exactly. That's kind of like if you step off the train in Manhattan or, southern Manhattan, then this is where you would be.
And
it's got kind of like a faux patio that, is smoky and moody. I think you and I have done a couple of segments on that patio.
We have been on that patio.
A couple of times before.
At 8 a.m. in the morning.
It's the best time for the patio.
Sipping some of the best mocktails you will have
That's
in
right.
town, I have
Always
to
the
say.
mocktails, for sure, for sure.
And then Platform 18 is the train that we're talking about.
Platform 18 is the train, and so this is meant to be bespoke and elegant and kind of evocative of a time period where this would have been a presidential Pullman train car, circa 1920s, and this was designed and styled to feel like a step above. Between the brass and the mahogany, and then the windows on the train are actually showing kind of like a long, slow trip down south from Harlem through Manhattan, kind of on a rainy, moody, jazzy kind of night. And so you're there.
The locations have changed because when you debuted it, it was...
Correct. The very first one, so back to 2019, the very first one was in the Rocky Mountains, and it was on the Silverthorne Trail. And so the team that helped with the video went up there and actually like rode on the train and filmed out to the left and filmed out to the right. And then so it felt like an actual train because they took the train and filmed it. And so we lovingly and happily return that original kind of like Rocky Mountain wintertime video every year at Thanksgiving for the entire Christmas holiday season so that it feels kind of, wintry. Because even though it's probably 78 or 79 degrees outside,
which we love,
you can come inside and we'll crank the air conditioning all the way down and give you some hot cocoa. Last year we did do, Christmas cookies and hot cocoa for the kids, which was one of the first times that we've had kids on the train. And it was so much fun. The entire team would just loved it. Maybe it was they were all hopped up on cocoa and sugar cookies, but they had such a great time, and the kids had such a great time. And even Mr. Kringle came in and visited us.
Santa was there.
He did. He stopped by. He put us on his route
Well, you think of a place, this whole building serves 21 and up, to have kids in there and then to be able to share that experience with kids must have been pretty cool for the staff too.
For sure. And, to see their wonderment, they've never been in that place before. And then, from a business standpoint, what we wanted to do was get the kids hooked so they could say, when are we going back to the train? When are we going back to the train? And maybe somewhere in the back of the parents' minds, they're saying, we should go to the train. We'll get a babysitter.
No doubt.
You get a babysitter, you stay here. Mom and dad are going to the train. And so I don't know if that happened, but I was hoping that it would.
Yeah. And then the original of the immersive experiences was Undertow.
Undertow, yeah. Undertow, as a lot of people know, was right around 2016. We're coming up on our 10-year anniversary next year. We're already starting kind of like putting together events and pig roasts and luau's and kind of a lot of fun things for that. But 2016, it was introduced to me by Jason Asher and Rich Fernari, the original two founders of Undertow and Barter and Shake. It was introduced to me as kind of like the belly of a spice trading ship. And it was in conjunction with a local designer who was taking on a project to convert an old like Jiffy Lube and take the oil bay and turn it into something kind of like a design series like for Bravo or something.
Oh, wow.
And so they designed it into the basement of a Jiffy Lube. And for a little while, it was an actual speakeasy where nobody was really talking about it, but everybody kind of knew. You would wait 2 or 3 hours to get in there. And so the boys reached out because I was working with Jason at the time. He was working also at Young's Market selling booze, and I was working with Fox buying booze. Okay. And so we ran in a lot of the same circles. And they reached out, and I helped them with some of their narrative, some of the backstory of this captain who's going from New York over to San Francisco over the course of 9 chapters or whatever it was.
So did they reach out to you to write?
To write, yeah. They knew that I had spent some time at Arizona State doing English literature, creative writing, and French, which of course just like rocket ship directly into food and beverage. I think that's what they should say when you're studying literature.
Yes, it'll make mom and dad
Present
maybe feel
day,
better.
They're like, what are you studying literature for?
Yes.
You have Google on your phone, do you not? But then we didn't have as many phones or as much Google.
Yeah. But you so how did you come up with this storyline?
They gave me a little bit of material to work from. They gave me, a few different names of ships and kind of like how long the journey took. And then from there, I wanted kind of a salty character, kind of a seafaring gent who was both dangerous and kind. And I knew I had about 78 days to kind of like mess with him. And then from there, it was geography, like what would make a great setting. Yeah. And so when you're going from New York, there's not a lot until you get down into the islands. And then there's a lot of treachery as you go down past South America. And I knew that those would be kind of like the pivot points. And so we took the chapters that had a little bit of danger and a little bit of excitement. And those were the ones that became the menus.
And then when you go there, I mean, you're saddled up to that bar.
That's correct.
I always love to get a little porthole seat if I can.
As you should. The portholes have different imagery that kind of goes along with the lighting as well as some of the sound effects and some of the music. And depending on when you're there, you can see as the skies begin to turn and it aims towards a little bit of a squall and then kind of a light rainstorm and then a big thunderstorm. And so for the people that have been to Undertow previously, they get excited for the thunderstorm because it's jarring.
Yeah,
it's a little bit loud.
It rocks.
Yeah. When we opened the location in Gilbert, the tenants at the apartment complex above and our next door neighbor, Belly, was like, no more thunderstorms, please, because we'd turned it up and it was like, wah, 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 wah. The bottles were jiggling on the back bar, etc. But it's a good time, and it's realistic enough through kind of like the technology and the sound that when we were in this location, when I had first kind of started, I was in the room and there was a gentleman who had 3 Mai Tais, which is good. It's a good number of Mai Tais.
That's
1,
fair.
2, 3, and the rain started and he was like visibly dejected. And they were like, "What? He goes, I guess I'll have another Mai Tai because I'm not gonna run to my car in the rain." And he was being totally serious, even though it was like 105 degrees outside. Yeah, I'm not gonna run to my car.
That's a Lyft,
you hear
right?
The rain?
Called you an Uber.
I'm gonna run to my bicycle.
Waymo.
Sure. The robot car.
So they didn't see it coming.
They didn't see it coming, and then it was real.
realistic.
It was real enough. And we always say, kind of like around the water cooler, that if we can get people to believe that they're somewhere else, even for like a minute, then we win. Like if we get them to believe that, when the rumbling of the train, there was another guest that said, "When does the train stop? Because I need to go to the restroom." And she didn't realize that it's static the whole time. Yeah. It's not going anywhere, ma'am.
Oh my gosh!
Come right now if you want.
Come with me.
It's totally
Let's walk
safe.
you through Undertow too.
Totally,
What?
totally safe. People get their sea legs.
Oh my god!
Yeah, for sure.
Isn't that so interesting? I mean,
it's a lot of fun. We're having. I find myself saying that we're having more fun than we're supposed to be having, and we are. Like a couple of the characters from the original story, we're starting to do a la Marvel, I suppose, kind of like origin stories, and we're going back in time and kind of like, putting together a little bit of a whodunit mystery that'll go for a year and have secret clues and things like that for the Grey Hen. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Right now, the first 4 clues are in place.
Oh.
So if you're over there,
so you read the menu
off the clock, and you go on the train. Off the clock, of course.
Yes.
Off the train, and you order the Oracle, then that can get you started on your
the Oracle.
The Oracle.
Okay, so there's our clue.
Yeah, that's my clue to you.
Thank you.
To you all.
Yes.
To go and you order the Oracle, and that begins this. I wouldn't say it's a murder mystery. People are definitely going to get murdered, but there's kind of like it's an origin story. It's a whodunit. A la 1925's Gumshoe, kind of Maltese Falcon. It's good. We're going to have a lot of fun with it. Again, more fun from the idiots at Barter and Shake. That's exactly what Arizona
creative
needs.
Geniuses.
Yeah.
I mean, creative geniuses, because Barter and Shake really was one of the, when cocktails and Phoenix started getting on the menu for creativity, it was Barter and Shake.
For sure.
So it's really great to see it continue to survive and thrive.
Yeah.
And then I'm not sure which way to go. I want to... Let's go. I want to get to your past because
we can do whatever you want to do.
Yeah, ASU degree, and you're writing in literature, and I love hearing stories from the 90s and such when I was there too. But let's go. I want to remind people that you have mocktails.
Oh, sure.
Because
of course.
A lot of people aren't drinking right now, and you guys saw that coming and started working on that and detailing and making sure. Even though you have perfectly crafted these cocktails, now we're going to do it without the alcohol.
Of course, yeah, and so That was born out of a little bit of disaster, I suppose. Jason and a gentleman named Jax Donahue, who's also still around in the market. He's helping out the Pretty Decent team with their concepts. But during COVID, there was a big long stretch where no one really knew what to do with themselves, and we weren't allowed to be within 6 feet and this and that and this. And I don't want to talk about COVID any more than you do, but Jason and Jax spent a lot of that time researching through books called Zero and the molecular structures of different flavor components and things of that nature in order to recreate spirits without any alcohol. And so, like we always say, the green chartreuse is a pretty good example. There's 81 different kind of like botanicals, spices, herbs, etc., that go in to make that flavor profile of green chartreuse. And then the base of it is kind of just like a sugar base that holds everything in solution. And so then you have something that tastes like green chartreuse or that acts like green chartreuse with lemon or this or that isn't alcohol. And so that was really the jumping off point for creating an honest and interesting look at mocktails, because I'm sure that you remember, when you're taking a break from booze, or if you're slowing down or speeding up in the evening time, a lot of times you would go to a bar and you'd order something that was non-alcoholic, and they'd give you like a cherry Coke, or they'd give you a ginger beer with a splash of pineapple in it, and now you're living, right? And so now to have, in the train, we've got 5 or 6 different variations that are, and the industry has picked up on this also, and so there's great spirits that are being produced, mass produced, that are all alcohol-free, agave spirits, gin spirits. We are making our very own Aperol, so we make like an Aperol spritz with a booze-free sparkling wine. And
I think people would come there just for that.
For sure. And it's on there, it's on there for, whether you're hiding in plain sight, whether you're like, you've decided to slow down or to speed up, or you prefer cannabis, which is another big thing that there's not really yet. And I'm sure this is probably on the way as far as like the trend goes, but there's not really, most of the time when people are enjoying cannabis, they're using it in their backyard or in their house or whatever, and it kind of diminishes the social aspect. And so when you're in the train and you're enjoying a non-alcoholic cocktail, or you're enjoying one in the Grey Hen or at Undertow, then you still get the energy of our space. You still get the immersive quality and nature of our space, and you can enjoy a great cocktail without any alcohol in it, because we're equal opportunity lenders. So we just want you to show up and have a good time. Like, drink whatever you want to drink.
Yeah. But one thing that you had said to me that clicked was with a lot of the alcohol, it has a certain feel in the mouth.
Viscosity.
What is that? Of course, I didn't remember that word.
Sure.
What is it? What is it?
Viscosity is kind of like the weight of the liquid.
Yes.
And so the fastest way that I used to explain it when we were talking about wine, because I used to teach a lot more wine classes, but it's the weight on the palate. And so when you think of motor oil in your hands, it's very thick, and you think of water and it's very thin. And so it's more viscous, it's more heavy. And so in order to kind of recreate that, you do need, when you have a sip of bourbon, it weighs differently than maybe a sip of water or soda or something like that. And so you do need, when you're creating non-alcoholic spirits, you do need to incorporate a little bit of ingredients that will create a viscosity or a weight, so that it feels a little bit more authentic. But then, like Undertow currently has a completely alcohol-free Negroni, and you drink it, and to be perfectly honest, it takes you a minute to realize that there's no alcohol in it, because it's authentic enough to get all of the flavor profiles and all of the acids and all of the subtle undertones of the vermouth and the Campari. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's great.
So that's science. I mean,
it's
you're
just
breaking
it's flat out science. It's flat out science. And I walked into the side door of Barter and Shake in late 2021, and Jason and Jax had already done all of the work on this, and it was blowing my mind that we were planning on this kind of bold execution of non-alcoholic spirits and including it. And you watch, here we are 4 years later, and it's not only a continuing trend, but a growing trend.
Yeah.
And it's a growing trend that kind of follows health and welfare and like well-being. And you add in a little bit of nootropic scenario for people who are enjoying like microdosing and psilocybin and some of those other things, that they want to abstain from alcohol, but they still want to enjoy things that kind of give them a body high or give them an experience. And I think that's where the market is going.
Yeah.
I don't think that alcohol itself will ever completely be faded into black. I think it always has a place at the table or a place at the bar top, I guess, if you want to mix that metaphor. And to be versatile and agile and durable are the only three things that you need to be in this industry. Nimble. Got to be able to pivot.
Nimble and smart.
Nimble and smart.
Which you guys obviously are very much so.
Hopefully.
Okay, so let's go. You mentioned the Rocky Mountains. Did you have any influence on that? Because didn't you grow up in Denver?
I didn't have influence on them filming the Rocky Mountains, but they did tell me, they said, we've got a new project. And I said, oh my gosh, I'm so excited, because it wasn't, it was a complete departure from working for Sam at Sam Fox Restaurant or Fox Restaurant Concepts, etc. Because nobody was doing immersive and theater-based kind of cocktail menus, And so it was a total departure, and I was allowed to kind of do whatever I wanted to do. And unless I was way off base, then they would go with it, right? And so he said, we've got a steel tycoon. I said, that sounds awesome. And he says, he's got an estate in the mountains. I said, that sounds great.
Love it.
I'm here for it. And he's a whiskey bootlegger before Prohibition starts. I said, I'm here for it. That's great. He says I said, can he be in northern Colorado? And he goes, yes. I said, great. So, growing up in Denver and southern Colorado, Telluride, and being all around kind of like Fort Collins and up and down Montana. My grandmother was from Montana. Like, that entire area makes a lot of sense to me. And so we invented, geographically, it doesn't exist perfectly the way we invented it, but we invented this palatial kind of mountain estate where once you exited the main train track, he had his own private train that would just kind of like slowly circle his estate. It was a little bit of a navel-gazing train ride, right? It was a little bit of look at all of my affluence, look at all of my great things.
I think of silver spoons. Remember silver spoons?
Yes. And so, between that and like Atlas Shrugged was Ayn Rand was the kind of that literary background of having the steel tycoons be in and involved that anyway. And so we made that, we called it Platform 18.
Why 18?
I think that the whole thing started in 2018. I think it began there. And when you look at Century Grand, the name is meant to be celebrating from today backwards a grand century. It's always meant to celebrate a century. And so whether that was why or not why. I know that it opened in 19, so calling it platform 18 was
maybe the planning process.
Causal. Maybe it could have been one or the other. But
so from Denver, you came to ASU.
I did. I came to ASU, and like we were discussing before we had this conversation, I took my time through college. I was at ASU. After all, there was sunshine and flip-flops and sunscreen and volleyball and those kinds of things. So I spent about 5.5 years doing an English literature, creative writing, and French. All three super employable.
Do you use your French in any of your menu stories?
I have used French in the menu stories. Man, you're exactly right. Yeah, there's a French woman who speaks to her Siamese cat in French.
Says bonjour.
Bonjour. Le petit chat ici. Oui, oui, oui. But not to any
extent.
Like, extent
yet.
Or
maybe
positive
coming
use.
soon. You never
know.
The
next menu is going to be all in French now.
Yeah.
So everybody
get ready. Translate.
Everybody get ready. You can put in your
Google Translator.
Put in your Google Translator. You're going to have to order a cocktail. Get ready for it.
Oh, my goodness.
But, the creative writing thing was my goal. I was planning on, not the last great American novelist, as everybody is when they're idealistic and young and sunburned, I suppose. But I had every intention of writing both a novel and a collection of short fiction and publishing it before I turned 30. And darn it, I was very, very close. I had moved from Phoenix to Vail to work as a sommelier in Vail and to continue writing because I always thought, there's 24 hours in a day. You sleep for 6 of them. Oh, wow. You work for 8 of them.
Nice.
You should have enough time to keep writing. And so at some point right there in the end of 2009, I had my novel was on a desk at a publisher in New York, and I was skiing in the morning and selling wine at night. And I was like, this is it. I've made it. This is my whole life. And then one thing after another kind of like crumbled a little bit. The book fell out, blah, blah, blah. But I got back to Phoenix, and it was right in time for Modern Steak. I don't know if you remember Modern Steak right there at the mall. And Culinary Dropout, the original Culinary Dropout right there at Scottsdale and Camelback. And that was opening, and I called, the team back called Sam.
So you had been working with Sam Fox.
I moved to Colorado, and then I came back.
Okay. Did you work with Sam Fox out of college, like right when you were out of
2004.
college? Okay.
Yeah, I finished in 03, I think. And like I said, I took my time. I wandered.
I wish I had spent. I always said after I graduated, the stupidest thing I ever did was graduate because it was so much fun.
I'm going to go ahead and change my major.
I know.
Yeah, we're going to go back for philosophy and biology.
A couple more courses.
A bunch of things that don't overlap so I can spend some more time here.
I wish I'd taken more Spanish because I took French as well.
There you go.
And political science too. I always say like those classes would have been beneficial. I'm trying to nail down the Spanish situation, but I'll get there sooner or later.
I feel like immersion is the way to go.
Yeah,
you got to move. That's it.
Rocky Point.
Your time in Phoenix is over.
There we go.
Who knew? Who knew today was resignation day?
We're going to decide that today. It will happen.
But you'll never have me on the podcast again.
Well, maybe.
Shoot.
We'll Zoom out of Rocky Point.
Yeah. No problemo.
So you got your first job with Sam Fox doing what?
I was a lunchtime server at North in Kierland Commons. 2004. And then eventually I was promoted to run food at night.
Ooh,
yes,
fancy.
They really want you to walk the food, to be perfectly honest, but it's what you're doing.
Yes.
And so then, after that, I watched what everybody else was doing, and the smart people with the most money were selling a lot of wine, and so I started learning wine. And then, I'd spent some time there, and then I went with Sam Fox with Fox Restaurant Concepts to Colorado and worked at the Denver location, right down the street from where my mom now lives in Cherry Creek.
Oh, how wonderful.
And then I spent a little time in Hawaii. I spent a little time in Vail. And then the rubber really hit the road in 2010 when I said, I'm never going to get to either direction if I only put 50% into writing or 50% into F&B and restaurants. And so I put 100% into the restaurants, and then started opening spots across the United States. And we opened with Sam and a gentleman named Regan Jasper, who was the beverage gentleman. He and I were the beverage team for Fox. We opened like 93 locations in 11 years or something. It was a lot. But
insane.
it was when I joined, there was only 2 Norths, and we got it to 22 before it went with Cheesecake Factory. When I joined, we opened the very first True Food Kitchen at 9. We got that one to 20.
Wow.
And then there was a bunch of sauces, and there was a bunch of Flower Children and a bunch of Culinary Dropouts.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah.
I loved it. I was on the road a little bit too much, which is one of the things that led to the decision to kind of backtrack it, and especially to backtrack it to work with Jason and Rich on concepts that were in town that I'd already been familiar with, that I'd already assisted it with a little bit, and that, had potential to grow and multiply. It was a good move.
So when we talk about executive vice president of operations, what does that mean day to day?
The fastest way that I've been saying that lately, people are like, "Oh yeah, man, I'm going to come visit you at the bar on Thursday. Which bar are you going to be working at?" And I quickly say, "Well, I don't run the bars. I run the company."
Yeah,
that's a better way to say it.
Okay,
so that I'm not back there pouring you your drinks.
8 p.m.
Oh, hello.
I'm sorry, babe.
This
I gotta leave.
I gotta go. And so that, everything from kind of like the financial sides of things into the ordering and the procurement and all the way down to I was on the roof on Sunday night trying to fix an air conditioning unit.
Yeah.
Like it's a little bit when you talk about operations, it's all of the things minus minus like the production of the P&L, but you need to be well versed in just about every aspect of it so that you can influence things in the right direction.
Right.
So you can increase efficiency and decrease chaos. That's kind of like that's the
great.
beginning, middle, and end of operations in the restaurant universe.
I want to write that down. What is increase efficiency
and decrease chaos?
Amen.
Yeah.
I mean, if you do that just in life.
Just in general. Yeah. We'll get matching tattoos. It'll be great.
Where is the most chaos, do you find?
It being summer. I know this is going to air when summertime is kind of gone, but summertime in Phoenix is brutal on equipment because oh my hell, it is not enjoyable whatsoever, because you look at all of your air conditioning units and we have 5 on top of that building, and each one of them, it needs to start working at around 1 p.m. in order to get it to 70 to 72 degrees for service. And when I was up there on Sunday or other times, like because of the way that the sun shines on it, some of those parts are 135 degrees.
Oh my gosh.
And the roof is 145 degrees. It melted one of my shoes, Jamie. I lost a whole shoe. Don't you dare. Don't you dare. Don't you dare apologize.
Pair?
No, I had another pair ready to go, but it melted my shoe. And I was like,
my God.
And at that moment, sweat in my contact, screwdriver in my hand, and my shoe stuck to the thing. I go, what in the blank am I doing up here? And it was because the air conditioner was not working, and it needed new fuses that time. Anyway, it needed new fuses, and it needed some other things, and we got it back up and running. But then, I think 2 years ago we ended up spending, and it's all relative, but $25,000 to $30,000 on repairing and like preventing disaster, preventing chaos, for those air conditioners.
Yeah,
it's just like, oof. No, thank you.
That's something that people would not think of.
Yeah, so mean.
Yes, it is.
It's so mean to us. And then yesterday, the winds and the dirt come sideways through, and the roof that doesn't leaks when the rain comes sideways, and you're just like, that's cute. Thanks a lot, sideways rain. Yeah,
that was so. We are recording this the day after that crazy monsoon storm came through in late August. And I was over at Pita Jungle, eating local, as one does.
As one does. And
casually watching the storm, enjoying the fact that I don't have to be reporting in it today. And I go out to the car, and the Mike says to me, "Hey, Jamie, you guys don't drive this car. We go, those are our cars. Why?" And we were sitting in a puddle, and I was with one of my colleagues, Michaela, and we're soaked through in moments. It was like the thickest raindrops I've ever been in my work dress. Yeah. Just now I'm a wet puppy, and I'm deciding if I'm going to take my low car and drive in like water that we say not to do. With
the wind, like exactly.
Yes.
In all of the news reports, it says, do not enter an underpass when it's above this level. And you're like, oh boy.
Like it only takes 2 inches.
Yeah.
And so anyhow.
If you get stuck, you would be on the news. That would be terrible. They would put you right on the news.
They totally would. Anyhow, I made it home.
That's not sweet. That's good.
I made it home.
That's good.
And it was a wild night. So did all your places do okay after the storm?
They're fine. I mean, a little bit of water, like I said, a little bit of water comes in sideways. It threw the umbrella at our house, at our outside table, threw it. It's a big umbrella. Threw it. But like I said, it's summertime is brutal. The heat's brutal on the equipment, and kind of like staying ahead of the equipment is the kind of like the quote unquote worst part of it. Yeah. That, and then, a lot of people, we were talking about this off air, is that a lot of people kind of like hide. A lot of people around town kind of, they kind of hide from the heat a little bit. Maybe the same way that you would in January and February in Minnesota or something real cold. Chicago potentially, I suppose. And so we're excited for it to be September here pretty soon. Now, if you're listening to this, where the weather's real kind of like soft and breezy and pretty, and everybody can kind of like emerge from their caves, emerge from their air conditioning, and look around and say, "I think I want a martini."
Yes, and I want one of the best in town.
That's correct. I want an unbelievable martini. I want a great Manhattan. I want a really interesting and kind of like thought-provoking cocktail that is also served with caramel corn. This is what I want to have. This is how I want my life to be from here on out.
So tell me about the pairings that does happen there with the food and the drink.
Yeah. So as we don't have a classic like restaurant, we do have a lot of knowledge and energy and capability around making a lot of different things, right? And so recently on the train, because we wanted to have this kind of like tycoon and titan menu, we wanted to have a really kind of decadent lobster martini. And in order to have a nice lobster martini, you need lobster. So we also made a beautiful lobster toast with a little bit of lobster stock butter. That is like very, secretly, it's pretty easy for us to make. There's a lot of preparation that goes into it, but because we don't have a full kitchen, there's not like a guy back there, working through the shift. And so we have this beautiful lobster toast that goes with this martini. And then if you really want to get fancy, we've got a caviar setup with homemade salt and vinegar potato chips and a dill creme fraiche.
Oh my gosh.
But to your earlier question about the pairings for each one, we've started maybe last year, 2 years ago, potentially, we started playing a lot with confectionery, a lot more with chocolate. And so, we would have something kind of like light and soft and fruity, like a cherry chocolate that would go along with a whiskey cocktail. And so you have those two things, even like maybe a darker, more chewy, more robust style rum with a little bit of whiskey and potentially a little bit of this and that and the other thing. And then you have your cherry chocolate garnish that really, it creates a pairing on your palate and in your mouth that takes the 1 part plus 1 part and equals 3. And so we've got this cocktail right now on the train called the Film Star, which is a play on a Vesper, which is James Bond's martini, kind of like the gin and the vodka and the Lillet. And we paired that with caramel corn because some of that kind of bright herbaceous note followed by something kind of a little bit soft and sweet and salty, it just goes together. And so you're sitting there drinking a beautiful martini and having just a little bit of caramel corn. It's the bee's knees. It's wonderful.
Did you say you were a somm? Oh,
yes, ma'am.
So you know all the notes and the pairings.
Correct. I went through Somm 1 and Somm 2 in 2008 and 2009.
Yeah.
And I had this wild goofball as an instructor and mentor. His name was Joe. Probably is Joe. He's probably still around. But the thing that he told us to do, which is a little bit strange, and he said to go to a grocery store that wasn't your grocery store, that was in like another city or town.
Oh, wow.
And he said, I want you to smell everything. He goes, if you go to your own grocery store, then they might ask you to leave. But you go to somebody else's grocery store, and he goes, when do you ever smell fresh bell peppers? Like when do you ever smell grapefruits? When you get these things, you don't smell them.
Yes.
Sometimes they smell, like you chop them up and you get this nice aroma. But he goes, it's like gymnastics for your olfactory. You need to go out and train your senses.
Oh my gosh.
And so I went. Anytime I was traveling, I would go to all the grocery stores and I would be running around the produce section smelling things. Oh, this is the difference between dill and tarragon. Oh, this is the difference between fresh sage and rosemary. Oh, this is that. So then later on, when you're nosing something or trying to explain something to someone, then you have that kind of olfactory memory where you go, oh yeah, this has got little notes of this or that. This is bacon wrapped Tylenol. And people are like, what are you talking about? And I'm like,
I know
trust
what it
me.
Smells like.
Trust me. What store did you find bacon wrapped Tylenol? Don't worry about it.
Just put it together.
It
was just a weird morning.
it was a Tuesday. It had to be. Those Tuesdays. Never get the hang of those. But yeah.
So all this experience comes together perfectly.
It does. And it's, I don't know. People ask sometimes, what would you do if you weren't doing this? And I don't know.
Like, why ask me that? I'm having too much fun.
What am I not allowed to do anything else? Am I in trouble? Did I do something wrong? No, and I think that the long way to get to the end of that answer is that food and beverage, not necessarily cocktails, not necessarily wine, not necessarily alcohol, but food and beverage and hospitality is one of the only universal all human things left, right? Where, you want to go into a bar and have a conversation with someone. There's your bartender there. You want to learn something new about a new whiskey or vodka or cocktail that you've heard about on the internet or through ChatGPT or whatever it is. We still need people. And maybe as technology continues to grow and improve and evolve, maybe it will be fewer people, but you'll still need people to kind of like get that going. And there's never been a better time for us to be good at this. And that's kind of like our war cry. That's kind of like our mantra. Yeah. Like, if people just wanted to get drunk, then they can do that in the alley behind their house. Like they can get hooch and get drunk. If they just wanted to meet people and hang out, then they could do that online, ? Yeah. Ugh. But if they want to interact with other people and meet other people and have an experience and, celebrate the time that they get with their friends or whatever it is, then, having a spot like ours, which takes the pressure out of your morning or your day or your week and makes you say, what's playing outside that porthole? Yeah. Or where's this train going? Or it feels like we're on a train. Yeah. And then, after that, whatever happens is honest and organic and it's a little bit more human. Yeah. And so it's a great industry to be in. I don't know what I would do if I wasn't in it.
I just think of back to this picture that we're looking at here at Undertow, the fascination and the attention to detail at all your places are so magnificent. You feel like a kid looking around, checking everything out, and then that thing moved and that thing sang at me, and just like you're constantly being activated by then there's a smoke show because you guys have the smoke gun working at us, and then there's another table's opening a treasure trove. There's just a lot going on. So congratulations on all that you've done over there.
Thank you. I mean, that's a lot of that is comes out of the mind of Rich Fernari. He's kind of our experience and kind of like brand guru, and so I don't know if you were over there for it, but right now in Undertow there's a certain cocktail that you order that comes in a skull of a jaguar that's dressed up like an Incan Mayan god, and we have it set up. You're giving me this perfect look right now. I love it. But we have it set up so that there's a trigger behind the scenes that, because the room is wired for kind of some sophisticated sound, then it sounds like this jaguar is walking around this side and snarling at you. Oh my. And then we can position the jaguar to snarl and growl right over the top of whoever's getting the cocktail.
Oh my
and
gosh,
so, you bring this thing over and it's kind of this very Aztec Mayan looking jaguar panther skull. And then you hear the and it just comes through it and you're like,
where is that coming from?
Yeah. And that's a lot scarier than the rain. If you for a minute you thought there was a real ghost panther coming after you.
So we're ordering the Oracle at Platform 18.
That's correct.
We're ordering, what is this Inca one? The
Incan
Jaguar.
It's on the front page. The name escapes me right now,
Undertow.
But it's got it right at Undertow.
Okay.
You'll know
Incan
it.
Jaguar.
Yeah,
we'll figure it out.
The Jaguar cocktail.
Oh my God, Matt, it's been so much fun. It's always such
Pleasure's
a
all
treat
here.
to see you. It really is. You guys are just killing the game. I'm very happy for you and all your success.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to Jaime's Local Love, the podcast. I'm your host, Jaime Serretta. Our technician is Tom Heidinger. Our editors are Lorraine Shearing and Gina Coy. Do you know a business worthy of some local love? Email me at jserretta@azfamily.com. Follow us at facebook.com/Serretta and Instagram @SerrettaNews. Make sure to subscribe and give us a 5-star review, please. And tell your friends about the podcast and the businesses we feature to show your local love. You can find us on Apple, YouTube, Spotify, Amazon Music, and anywhere you get your podcasts.
Jaime's Local Love, an Arizona's Family Originals podcast.